Overwhelmingly, the families, when they leave after they've put their pre-plans in place, the biggest feedback we get is, that's a burden lifted off my shoulders.
That's exactly it.
I've relieved the stress from my family. You know, it truly is, really is one of the biggest gifts of love that you can give your family. This really tells them that I love you and I've taken care of all of it.
Hello and welcome to Senior Life Publications Ask the Expert podcast, where we talk about all things related to healthcare, finances, and free resources. Hi, I'm David Moss, publisher of Senior Life Publications, which is a free resource you can find throughout the Tampa Bay market.
And I'm Stephen Halstead, sales manager for Senior Life Publications. We're back at the terrace at the Largo Cultural Center. Want to thank them yet again. If you haven't been out here to check it out, please do. You can go to largoarts.com and see what they have going on. But again, thank you for them hosting us again today. So today I want to get you guys to meet two people that are here from a company that's here local that does a lot of good service for people in a really hard time of their life. So I would love for you guys to just introduce yourselves and just let our viewers know what you do.
I'm Alex Johnson. I'm the location manager at Serenity Funeral Home. I'm also a funeral director, so I meet with families, take out their services, and help them when they're grieving.
And I'm Nicholas Craig, and I'm a family service counselor. So basically I take care of everything pre-planning, but I also work a lot with Alex when a family comes in at the time of need, and we assist with everything in the cemetery, as well as future pre-planning for the family after they've experienced a loss.
All important stuff. And you know, every company has things that they do that's a little different than anybody else. So talk to us a little bit about, you know, what you do that's a little different, or things that you offer that you think maybe, you know, is outstanding.
I think what we try and do at Serenity that's a little bit different than other funeral homes or cremation providers is we're a full service funeral home, so we do both burial and cremation, but while also incorporating people's traditions, we try and celebrate their life as well and make it as personal as possible. So that's kind of how we're different. We have our life story that we set up. We'll ask families to bring in some of the family items and we set it up. We have takeaways that we give out at the services that are like little, you know, pieces of memorabilia that relate back to their loved one. And I think everything being personal just helps families know that we care about their loved one. It's not just cookie cutter services.
Right, it's a nice touch, I'm sure. Goes over well.
Yes.
Yeah, and because we're a combination location, which means we have both the cemetery and the funeral home in the same facility, it allows us to carry that same life story, not only just in the funeral home, which is where people would usually see that, out into the cemetery as well, so we can continue that celebration of life out there and create really unique, meaningful experiences for those families to really help them through the grieving process and celebration.
That's a great point. What I want to really ask you two about is how important it is about pre-planning to really make sure that not to wait till the last minute. I mean, that's kind of like our whole culture. We wait till the last minute, we procrastinate. But tell us a little bit about how important it is to really do a pre-planning, especially with your funeral arrangements.
Pre-planning is by far one of the most important things you can do. It really helps with the expense aspect. You know, a lot of families come to us and they want to have a nice, beautiful celebration of life. But at the end of the day, sometimes the expense of doing everything that they want to do can be a little overwhelming. And sometimes you see, you know, we've seen them, the GoFundMe pages go up and everything else. And it's not always something that you want to see for a family to have to go through. You know, I sit a lot of arrangement conferences with Alex, and we do this all the time. And I can overwhelmingly tell you that the families that are pre-planned have a much easier and a better experience than the families that have to come out of pocket immediately right away. You know, that's the hugest thing about it. You know, even if they just take care of just a few pieces or a few aspects of the pre-planning process, it really, really helps.
Well, it's a peace of mind. I mean, having been through this myself, I understand the situation. And if we had not been prepared, God bless us, because it's a lot to have to deal with. And you're not really in the frame of mind to be able to make necessarily all the right decisions, or not necessarily the right decisions, but to think about what it is you want to do first and what's next and what's the, you know, God bless you guys, because it's like, here's the next step. We've already got that taken care of. Here's what we need you to do. You know, those types of things. It's huge to a family.
Families are constantly saying, what a blessing mom or dad did this for us. You know, they let us know exactly what they wanted. They paid for it, and we just have to follow through with, you know, they can focus on their grieving and the emotional aspect of everything rather than the financial or knowing, like, am I doing exactly what mom or dad wanted or, you know, my loved one wanted? And
Yeah, there's two big questions that no family can ever truly answer unless a pre-plan is put in place. Did I do the right thing, and is this what they would have wanted? Those are two questions you'll never be able to answer unless there was a plan put in place. You know, and pre-planning really starts with a conversation with the family. You know, I help families through this all the time. I tell them all the time, if you want to have this conversation with your family or your spouse or whoever it may be and you don't feel comfortable, bring me. That's what I do. I'm an expert in that. Let me have that conversation with you to help it maybe be a little bit easier. You know, I grew up in this industry. I grew up around it, so I'm a little bit more familiar with it than others that are around my age. And even in my own family, it's a tough conversation for some people. So, you know, it's not an easy thing to do, and it's absolutely something that we strongly recommend because when it's done, overwhelmingly the families, when they leave after they've put their pre-plans in place, the biggest feedback we get is, that's a burden lifted off my shoulders.
That's exactly it.
I've relieved the stress from my family. You know, it truly is, I mean, really is one of the biggest gifts of love that you can give your family. This really tells them that I love you and I've taken care of all of it. Right?
yeah, I agree.
Well, especially that sense of, like you said, the peace of mind and knowing that's all taken care of when it is your time, whether it be now or later. It's obviously one of those things you really have to take care of.
And even though we've talked about this several times, I think it's something that we have to just continue to always talk about to get, you know, so that people really understand this is not a big scary thing. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but you know, you've got to
it's a
plan.
difficult situation
You
to
plan
talk
your
about,
retirement,
right?
you plan your
Yeah.
wedding, you plan your child's birth or their birth. You know, it's just another thing that we, for some reason, has this stigma attached to it of,
Oh, absolutely.
we don't want to
and
talk
I couldn't
about
have
it.
said it any better myself
Yeah.
because that truly is one of the things we talk about. You plan all these other events in your life. You know, so why not plan for something we know for sure is absolutely going to happen? I mean, as much as we try to escape it, the mortality rate of the human race has been 100% since the dawn of time. And now, if you figure out how to make it past it, please let me know because I'll be a millionaire tomorrow. But that's one thing that we definitely have to take care of. It's something that needs to get done. And the earlier you take care of it, the less money you're going to spend in the end. Because the prices have continued really consistently to double every 8 to 10 years since at least the 50s that I know
That's
of.
a good point, right?
And you see those prices
Take care of it
increase,
now.
and it's not something you want to have to pay for later on down the road because then it become a little bit cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
And there may be things that pop up that you don't pre-plan for. For example, my parents are from up north. We ended up moving. Everything was planned, but we moved into Florida. Well, then we need to get my father back to West Virginia. We hadn't planned that, but that was one thing that we needed to take care of, not the whole package. So, you know, there's always going to be things that you have to think about that you're not always going to remember or get done the first time, maybe, or maybe you will. But the whole idea is to plan so that you don't have to worry about.
And when it comes to moving, you know, people are afraid, you know, if I plan here and then I move, what am I going to do? But, you know, our Dignity has over 2,500 locations in the United States, Puerto Rico, Canada, and it's national. Like, you can transfer one plan from our funeral home to another funeral home. It doesn't matter
That's
where
good
the
to
state or
know.
anything. So
And that even goes true with cemetery property too. A lot of people are concerned about buying cemetery property too soon. Well, if you pre-plan your cemetery property with us and you're relocating more than 75 miles away from the area, you can relocate your property to another Dignity location without any additional expense, unless of course you upgrade, and then of course the expenses or whatever will happen there. But that's a big point. A lot of people in Florida, this is really a transient society down here, and people move from somewhere or moving to somewhere. That's usually what we tend to see. So that's the biggest concern that we hear is, well, I might move to Arizona next week, or I may go out to California, or I might move back up to New York. Well, how do I do this? Well, we just transfer the plans. Just transfer all of it. It's nationally transferable. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
how easy is that?
Yeah.
What a great advantage for you guys to
Yeah, it is.
help out. So if there's anything else I think you have questions for? Anything?
Now we're off script.
Now we're off script.
So if someone wanted to reach out to you, they can look in our magazine, Senior Life Publications, to see your ad, but give us your contact information in case someone watching this video wanted to give you a call.
Yeah, so we're on Indian Rocks in Wilcox Road, right where it meets. Our address is 13401 Indian Rocks Road in Largo, Florida. And they can give us a call at 727-562-2080 and ask for myself or Nick, or anyone actually there would be able to help you with what you're needing.
Well, we appreciate you being here today. It's
Yeah,
an
thank you
important
for having
subject.
us.
We're happy to talk about these things all the time. Our viewers, I think, really enjoy getting the information, and it's such a valuable service you guys are providing, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's something that we really need to talk about in our podcast for a long time. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, not a problem. Well, I'd like to bring up one more thing. We have
Sure.
a personal planning guide. It's a free guide we give to every single family that we meet with. There's even a veterans guide that's companion to it as well. That'll give veterans an idea of what their benefits are through the VA, but also just with us as a company. And if someone's not ready to maybe financially commit to pre-planning yet, that really is the first step. That helps with the conversation with your family, and it allows you to kind of handwrite and record down some of the details of what your arrangements are. And we give them to every single family that requests one, but we also give them to all of our families that we pre-plan with, because whereas we can record the big outline, the big picture, we want them to be able to have the details, and that's a huge piece of the pre-planning aspect. So absolutely, anybody that wants one, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to get it to you. The only thing that we ask is that you let me present it to you, because it's a lot of information to go through, and I don't want anyone to ever be confused when they're filming.
Not miss any of those details that are important, especially for veterans. I heard that you ended up talking a little bit about that, so thank you for serving them as well. And thank you for joining us too. If you'd like to find out more information, please find one of our guides at one of the area locations at Village Inn, or you can just give me a call directly. Again, my name is David. I'm the publisher of Senior Life Publication. My phone number is 727-430-5180, or you can just email me at dmoss@seniorlifepublications with an s.com. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Have a wonderful day.